My profession technically is called a geospatial data scientist, and that means on a day-to-day basis, I use satellite data to monitor environmental risks, environmental hazards, things like mapping, extreme heat, wildfires, deforestation, even plastic pollution. I understand how to use satellite data to detect and monitor the health of our planet and ultimately use it for improving the state of the environment. I grew up in the city of Mumbai in India for 10 years. And during those 10 years, I witnessed a lot of air pollution because it's a dense and highly populated urban area. There was a lot of water pollution. So during the monsoons, the rainy season, a river that was close to where I lived, called Miti River, was regularly flooded. But it wasn't just regular water, it was full of sewage. The river had a lot of plastics in it. So seeing all of this growing up made me passionate about fighting these crises, solving plastic pollution, water pollution, even looking at air pollution. And my love for the ocean developed while I was in Mumbai, even though the beaches were often not accessible because of pollution. And one time I remember going swimming. A few days later, I got boils on my neck because the water was that polluted, and they lasted for almost a month. So, despite that, um, I fell in love with the ocean, and that's growing up there got me into the journey of marine conservation. But they don't have plastic waste infrastructure. They don't even have sewage infrastructure. So a lot of waste directly, like all the sewage goes in the river. So when you see it now, and growing up, it is entirely black in color and it smells of methane because of the sewage. So I think plastic pollution and sewage pollution are two problems that can be handled with the single solution of waste management, although the type of waste management differs between them and targeting, specific solutions. Bringing these points up about urban waste management in these cities, in high priority cities where there is a lot of waste outflow, and then even showing images of Meteor River, and it's really heartbreaking because these are not AI generated. These are actual images. I saw these sites growing up in Mumbai, and this is what I mean, where along the banks there are these informal settlements and waste directly without any filter goes into the rivers. And this is exactly how it looks like. This is what I remember growing up as a kid. Now there is a lot of awareness about among the young generation that we need to clean this. I was involved in volunteering in efforts to educate people and raising awareness, going door to door and collecting waste and talking to them about waste management. So those are really important, and I think it starts with community. So one, if you live near such communities, try to volunteer, work with them, and see how you can be a part of efforts that can recover waste and manage pollution. And secondly, if you're not around those communities and in other countries like I am now in the US, raising awareness and trying to collaborate and find funding for waste management is a worthwhile effort. I studied Earth System Science in college at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. I came back to the US in 2015 and I finished my degree in 2019. Now, during my time, I was introduced to satellite data analysis and GIS. I took 3 courses and did a small internship, but it wasn't nearly enough to learn, for a job. And immediately after I graduated, within 2 months, I got a job under the NASA Earth Science Division called Impact, which is a team within the Earth Science Division. And after a year of working there, I was introduced to a project to detect marine debris, which I was very passionate about, and I made it very vocal, and I was sure to let them know that I am interested in plastic pollution monitoring. And so they let me work on it and co-lead it with a colleague. And we then used high resolution imagery to find and detect coastal marine debris near the coasts of Latin America and Central America, and also parts of West Africa near the coast of Ghana. it's important to understand that passion matters a lot. This work may or may not pay as much as, a finance tech job, or it doesn't, frankly. But I think this is the need of the hour. Focusing on climate issues, on marine conservation, on environmental issues is the fight of our generation. It is passion driven and driven by the fact that we want to live on a planet that's healthier for future generations. And so that just having that mindset is really, really critical, at least for me, to get into this space. And then in terms of tech and marine conservation, learning skills, especially at least one coding language. And if I were to recommend any beginner, Python would be my go-to language to learn, just because it's open source, widely used in industry and research as well. This is a field in which you have to keep yourself up to date because things are changing so rapidly. Learning and keeping up to date. And if you're starting now, I think this is a much better time than, say, 5 to 10 years ago, because now the barriers to coding and barriers to AI are significantly less than they were a few years ago. I mean, trusting the process. And I know that sounds very cliche, but I didn't really know where I was going to be in 5 years in 2020. I wouldn't imagine I'd start a company, which I did last year. And so, uh, if you were to ask me 5 years ago or 10 years ago, hey, you want to start a company? I'd be like, no, I not really. Uh, but I felt the need to do that, to follow the mission I believe in, which is empowering communities with geospatial data for adaptation needs, for mitigation needs, for conservation needs. And the industry, at least the data industry, is going in the direction of more and more AI, tech-driven bias, and also catering to financial institutions and the big tech companies. Which, yeah, I mean that, as I mentioned, that pays more, sure. But what about the people on the ground who are, fighting to protect their environments, or who are suffering from different climate hazards, be it floods or wildfires or droughts? Um, I want to see a world where data is empowering people, not tech institutions or banks or whatnot. Um, so that's the mission that I'm sticking true to. And yes, even if that means I don't earn as much, at least in the short term, that's fine. I don't care. I know I'm trying to make the world a better place by doing that. So